I'd like to thank everyone for attending our webinar today on Microsoft Teams. My name is Marshall Wright. I'm with Behringer Technology Group, and just a quick word on Behringer Technology Group. Behringer Technology Group is a Microsoft Gold partner specializing in Microsoft Dynamics and SharePoint development. It's a leading managed service provider for the small and medium-sized business market in New Jersey. Behringer has over 26 years of experience in delivering business solutions. It's headquartered in Maple Shade, New Jersey, with an office in Red Bank and staff around the country. Our agenda for today, I'm going to give you an overview of Teams, how it works, the licensing, how you can get it, and the fact that you probably already have it. I'm going to give you an overview on how to navigate through Teams, basic team functions, different add-ons for Teams, both Microsoft and third-party Teams, and then we'll just review some takeaways from today's event. Webinar guidelines for today, I'm going to keep everybody on mute. There are a lot of attendees to this, so that's best for all of us is to keep everyone on mute. Please submit questions via chat or the questions channel. We will be monitoring the questions throughout the presentation. If I see one that's relevant and can add it in, I will. If not, we will have time reserved at the end for answering any questions you submit. If we don't have the answers for your questions today, we will figure it out and get back to you with an answer to your question. So with that, let's get going. Microsoft Teams is Microsoft's hub for collaborative work within the Office 365 environment. It provides for meetings, calling, chat and collaboration, apps and workflow development. You can collaborate with people inside and outside your organization, doing one-on-one chats or group chats. You can have audio and video meetings and also work on documents collaboratively, all things that we're going to demonstrate today. Organize teams by projects and channels. We'll show you how to set up a team and the significance of channels within the teams and how you organize things within those channels and teams. First, a word on Microsoft licensing. If you own Microsoft 365 Business Basic, Standard, or Premium, you already own Teams. It's one of the packages that comes with your software. If you have Office 365, which up until last week was called Enterprise, E1, E3, or E5, you also already own Teams. These are just some different licensing examples from the list I gave you before. Microsoft Business Basic is $5 a month, Standard is $12.50, the E3 is $20 a month. I'm not going to go through all the different features of these licensings today, but they do have Teams with them. If you do need information on that, we can touch base later after the seminar and give you more information on these different licensing options. One of the great things about Teams is not only does it run on a Windows platform, but Microsoft has different applications that run on iThings, iPhones, iPads, and Macintoshes. So you can run Teams just as easily on these devices as you can on a Windows 10 machine. And yes, there's even an application for the Android phones as well. So that license for Teams gets you to install it on all these different appliances and access it with simply the user login for Office 365 and the password that you already have. The main feature within Teams that everyone uses is chat. It began as a chat thing, very much like the program Skype or Slack. It started just like Slack, and then Microsoft merged in the features for Skype, which included audio and video calling. So your ability to communicate across individuals one-to-one or one-to-many is really enhanced and developed in Teams. And we'll go through that as we go through the live demo. From Teams, you can access many of the Microsoft applications that you're familiar with. both in the cloud version of Microsoft Word and Excel, but also it gives you a very easy way to start up the desktop application of Microsoft Word and Excel. And one thing that's very important to realize as you're working with Teams and the Office 365 suite, the desktop application has to be the right version, the most current version of the Office 365 software in order for all these features to work. You can't have an old version of desktop Office 2016 and have these features work. Microsoft Teams also provides a platform for third parties to integrate into Teams, and I'll show you some of that as we go through the live demo today. But there are several hundred different third-party vendors that have written applications that integrate directly to Teams. And the last, and probably one of the more important things that separates Teams from some of the other applications on the market is Teams was developed from the ground up as an enterprise application. That means it has enterprise level security in it. It protects your files. And as you see in the second line there, it has compliance leadership. It meets both the European and the United States HIPAA requirements. One of the questions I get most commonly about storage and where is my stuff in the cloud is it in the United States or is it somewhere overseas? By being HIPAA compliant, Microsoft is telling you that your data is stored in the domestic United States. Now, is it in a data center in Virginia or one in Washington State? I couldn't tell you, but one thing I can tell you for sure is if you're in an Office 365 tenant that's HIPAA compliant, your data is in the United States. All right, so we're going to have we're going to break to the fun part of this thing, which is the live demo. I'm going to take a moment and switch over to the Teams environment here. One of the things I do want to talk about before we get started on the Teams demo is just a quick discussion on storage inside of Teams. So Teams is able to access storage that's in Microsoft's cloud from a couple different areas. And I just want to point out, this is a view graph that I made today that I didn't run by the marketing department. So I used all of my graphical skills to develop this flow chart or this chart for us here today. But I think it illustrates what we need to understand how team storage works. So if you're familiar with OneDrive, OneDrive is Microsoft storage for individual users. Teams can tap into the OneDrive. Team also sets up special storage areas for individual Teams channels where groups of people can share and collaborate on folders. And then the other area that Teams accesses is corporate shared storage, which is in SharePoint. So if you have your data in SharePoint, you'll be able to access it through Teams through some relatively simple links to set up. All right, so we're going to start off our talk here with a look at the different areas in Teams, and we'll start with the navigation on the left, and then we'll work our way across the top and then across the bottom. So activity is items that have been posted by team members on all the different teams that might be in a team. So you'll see this as we go along here today. The area that we spend the most time in is chatting. So you can see individually, I have my assistant today is Sally. We'll be chatting with her in a little bit after I go through the basic navigation. We'll show you some features with that. But chat is the area where you're going to spend a good part of your time during the day. Next is the Teams environment, and the Teams environment has a variety of different things. You can see the teams show up. These are teams that we've created within our demo environment here to provide you some feel for how you might organize teams within your organization. But those teams below these are the channels. Channels are projects within a team. So if you have a channel set up, you can have the same members that are in the team or a subgroup of the team that are members of that channel. Each channel has its own storage and access to files. Next area we'll show you is the calendar. The calendar within Teams is tightly integrated in Office 365, so it talks to your Outlook and coordinates schedules with that. So if it's here in the team schedule, then it's also in the Outlook schedule, and we'll show that to you as part of the demo. Calls is a recap of the calls within Teams. Typically within Teams, you're going to make calls within the application. You don't need a phone to make the calls. You'll see that as we demo it today. But Teams has an add-on that allows you to get a telephone number that connects to your Teams session so that you can actually make outbound calls to third parties. This files area is where we have files stored in Microsoft Teams, and these are the most recently accessed files, and we'll get into these a little bit more later on. The ellipses here are third-party applications we can add in. I'll talk about those later on. These are more third-party applications. We'll talk about those later. Let me just flip back to the chat function here. Across the top, you can see that we have a chat going with Sally right now. These are the files that Sally and I have collaborated on within this chat session. These are organizational information and recent activity. Over here to the left, we have this click will start a video call. This click will start an audio call. This click is going to share my screen out with whoever I'm connected with. And this click over here is going to add somebody else to the chat. So if I just, as an example, I open this up and I start to type in Julie, who's one of our staff team members, I can quickly add Julie to the chat and make it a group chat. Now, the trick with a group chat is you really need to remember where you're at, because if you're calling somebody up and you have 6 people in the group and you inadvertently call the group, you're going to call all 6 people. So you kind of have to watch where you are in Teams and remember the context of your connections. All right, so at this point, I'm going to switch back over. Oh yeah, and I got to get to the millennial stuff, which is on the bottom of the screen here. Let's get back into the chat area. All right, so now we have at the bottom these bottom controls, if you can see them. These control your experience. So this is fonts and alerts. This is attachments. So if I want to upload a file into Teams, this is the way I would do that. One of the more millennial things that we've got built into Teams are these emojis. So if I want to send an emoji to Sally, I can send one over. We'll send this little winky one over here. We'll send it over and you see it show up in the screen there. GIF files is another one. We've got the ability to send GIF files. You can send Post-it notes over. Let's see, we have calendar connections here. Oops, oh, what's that? Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, my birthday was last week, and so Sally's just sent me over that little GIF file there to remind me that I'm got a year older. Scheduling, we can hop over into scheduling. We'll work more on that in a little bit. And then there's some other functions here. We can stream videos, and this is one to send praise out. So we can, let's do that. We'll send Sally a nice little thing. I'm going to send her a thank you. Thanks for helping today. And I'll preview that, and I'll say that looks good. We'll send that over. So you'll see that pop up in here, and now Sally has that nice little note saying what a great job she's doing today. Now I'm going to start a video or an audio call with her, and then we'll switch over to a video call once we get going here. So I'm going to call her up right now. You can hear the ringing. It's dialing her out now, and she's answering.
Hey, Marshall, what's up?
Hey, Sally, how are you today?
Awesome. How about you?
Good. I got a little echo going on. So we have her on an audio call, and now I'm going to add video in. And again, this call is directly through Teams. There's no phone lines. There's no anything else going on. Oh, hey, Sally, I said we were going to do the demo today, and you left your office in a really rough shape there.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's a real problem when working from home. Let me see if I can fix that. Just give me a second here to tidy up, all right? Just give me a second here. Are there a lot of people on?
Oh, yeah, yep. Yep,
Okay.
Almost 100. Oh,
How's
that's
that?
better. I like that better. Good. So Sal, I'm going to ask you to share your screen out. Can you share your screen out for us?
Sure, I was working on a really important project here, so I'll just bring you in on that. We have some provisioning to take care of here.
Oh, I see you got important office supplies you're working on.
Exactly.
Great. Our coronavirus survival kit. Good. So Sal, how hard was that to get that screen sharing? It was one click, right?
It was one click.
Right. So once you have a chat set up and you want to share your screen with the person that you're chatting with, it's one click. And that could be a group as well. So if you had a half a dozen people set up in the group and you said, you know, if you saw my screen, you would know the answer. You could just click on it, share your screen. Everybody shares your screen and you can get them all on the same page quickly. All right, so we're going to stop the screen sharing here, and we need to do a document sharing here. So I'm going to go over and we're going to share a file. This is actually our live file for lunch tomorrow. We're working on our order for lunch tomorrow, so I'm going to bring that up and just.
Who's buying?
The Behringers are buying tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go in and I have pretty boring needs. I eat pretty healthy most of the time. So you can see on the screen there where Sally's listed. You see the little SW pop up there. She's ordered caviar and lobster because the Behringers are buying, I guess. I'm going to get my old boring bananas and yogurt, and you can see some of the other things on the list of what folks are ordering today. To run down there, we've got some other folks on there. Oh, she's also found a spelling error. I didn't know how to spell yogurt, so she's fixed that for me. But this could be something simple like we're doing, or this could be a document that you have a team of people collaborating on. You can have up to 10 people collaborating on a document all at the same time. And as each person makes their own edits, you'll see that little pop-up come up, and you'll know who's making the edit and making the changes, because you literally could have 10 people in here on a page all editing at the same time. Very, very cool stuff. All right, so I'm going to close that, and we'll bring Sally back here momentarily. So Sally, I want to thank you for helping us on the demo today for that.
You're very welcome.
You did a fantastic job as always. So I'm going to hang up and just move along here with the different features. All right, so we've walked through the basic chat features, text chat, audio chat, video chat, screen share, and document sharing through chat. Now you also have the document sharing and the screen sharing. Those features are also available in Teams. So now we're in the team view of the world, and for this demo, we set up a webinar area. And in the webinar area, we have a variety of different things. This is the post area, so I'm going to post a note here. This is the Teams webinar, and that'll post it up. So if we went up here into activity, you would see the post that I just made in the Teams team. So going back over into the team. So the next thing is files. Now, if you remember that graphic I put up, the chart I put up, the high-tech chart, we had a team of people, and that team of people has some shared file storage. Well, this is the shared file storage for this team, sales, and the channel or the project webinars. So we have these shared documents in the webinars area that everyone can access. This next clicked over, this is actually corporate documents that are out on the Behringer SharePoint website. So we're able to link in the corporate data and include it as a resource that's available for this webinars project team. The advantage there is if we modify these files, you know, for example, I'll open this file up. If we modify these files are immediately made available to anyone else in the Behringer organization. So here, this is just a marketing piece that we worked on, and you can see I pulled this down from the SharePoint site, and it's made available to everyone everyone on my team to work on and edit. Now that's if they have the right permissions. So if you're an individual and you're made accessible to a corporate site, but you as an individual don't have permission to get to a specific file, like I think the marketing department's going to keep me away from all the graphics files. I wouldn't even be able to see the graphics files because they'll exclude me from being able to access those things. Just over here are some other things that we can show you. We have, just as an example to show you what happens when you open up an Excel file in Microsoft Teams. Now this is actually the Office 365 cloud version of Teams. It's brought the spreadsheet open. It has somewhat more limited range of features available to it as the cloud version of Teams. This is just a document that we were using over the last few weeks as we were setting up work from home people to make sure that we didn't exceed the license counts for these different models of Sonic Wall firewalls. But we could I could edit this document here, and anyone who has access to the same file would immediately get those results. Other things that you can link into your team session are hyperlinks out to websites. So for example, if you had a website for a service provider or a key input system, ERP system or reporting system, you can include that link right within Teams, go directly to that website, have access to everything else that you have in Teams while you're still in that website. And let me see if I have any other interesting things. OneNote, many people use OneNote, so there is a OneNote integration into Teams as well. So I haven't added anything to it, but those of you who use OneNote would appreciate the fact that you can click right into OneNote and take your notes. There are very many add-ons for Teams, which include Microsoft documents that we've looked at, Excel, Forms, Stream. We'll do a quick demonstration on that. We can actually play videos through Microsoft Teams, and then all the many third-party applications that are listed here. You just get a sense for how many different things can link into Teams and provide these tabs at the top that you would click on. It would just take you directly to those applications. Very powerful, flexible. This is meant to be the employee's hub and where they work all day. That's Microsoft's vision behind this product. Okay, so we have those things. Now, one of the other things that's interesting here when we're in a team, if we want to schedule a meeting, for the team, we should have those little icons on the bottom, which I don't see on my screen right now. Okay, we'll show you another way to schedule meetings. Switch over to calendar. Okay, so we've gone over to the Teams calendar, and what's interesting here, I'm going to pop Outlook up, and you can see Outlook. Here's my Outlook schedule as it coordinates with the team schedule. So I want to have a meeting with my team members. I can click up here, or I can come down here and say, okay, well, I'm going to set up a meeting for Friday afternoon, Friday at lunchtime, because we're going to eat that wonderful lunch that we've just gotten on the Behringers. So we're going to schedule the meeting here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to send a new meeting request out. And I'm going to put in all the team members that I want to include in this. We'll include Deck, Doralee, Deck, and we'll add in Frank, and we'll add in Julie, just to give you an idea. And we're going to set the meeting time 12 to 12:45, and we'll say this is our lunch meeting. And I'm going to send that out. Oh, Now we'll say we need a location at home, right? Everybody's working at home. We're going to send that out, and you'll see it immediately pops up in my Outlook calendar. All right, so I'm gonna minimize this and go back over to Teams, and you don't see it over here yet in the Teams calendar, so we're gonna have to refresh this. I'm just gonna hop out of the calendar and then hop back in again. And now you'll see there's our lunch meeting now on the team schedule. Now the advantage of the team schedule is if you go into Teams, the team schedule, and I click on this event, it's going to show you who's part of the meeting. And the other thing that it'll display for you, that should display, is a button that says join, which of course it doesn't. It should be a button right here that says join. So let me go out and go back in again. And I don't see it, but there should be a button that says join here, and you would join when the time for the meeting comes. The join button will show here, and there'll be a join button directly on the calendar. So you'd be able to join the meeting at that point. And I'm getting a note from Sally, my assistant, says you can't join it until it happens. Right, so that's tomorrow, no join button. All right, so we have, we've gone through the calendar function and files. I'm gonna just flip through here real quick. Now these files could be located either in my OneDrive. You can see access to OneDrive here. Microsoft Teams storage, which is those groups that you're a part of in Teams. The one thing it doesn't show here that we did show you in the Teams is you have a way to link in those corporate files through SharePoint to bring those things in and include them. So we have those things. One of the more popular things that we've had is an add-on, two things really. One is the audio add-on for Teams. What the audio add-on does is it's a separate license that you can apply to individual users that gives them an 800 number to dial in so that they can participate in Teams. So that meeting that I set up Friday at noon, if you had the audio add-on and assigned it to 3 other people who don't have computers, they could dial in on their phones and they could still participate in the meeting with an audio feed only. The other add-on that's kind of related to having group meetings is Microsoft Streams. Now, Microsoft Streams is really designed to be a video warehouse, but in addition to being a video warehouse, it also does closed caption and transcriptions. So if you have a meeting that you want to get a transcription for, you would run it through Microsoft Streams, and it will provide you with a transcription. Keep in mind, it is computer-generated transcription, so you're going to have to read it and edit it, but it will generate a transcription for you that you could use as a base for meeting notes. So that's another popular add-on for Microsoft Teams. And again, that becomes a licensing issue, something to talk to your Behringer sales folks about after the meeting. All right, so those are the main things I wanted to show you. I did show you opening an Adobe file, so there is an integration with Adobe to open PDF files. The last thing I want to show you here is the, and this is going to be a real quick flyby, is the administrative backend. Now, I said in the beginning of this is that Microsoft Teams is an enterprise class meeting and collaboration system. Part of that is if you have Office 365 and are an administrator, you can go into the admin console, and at the bottom in the administrative area, there is a Teams administrative area. Now, I'm not going to take you through all these features, but I just want you to get the sense that there is a way for an administrator for your organization to go in and control and manage how Teams gets used within your organization and to set some policies up that everyone has to follow. So there is an administrative backend setup for Microsoft Teams that needs to be considered and set up. Really, you really want to do this before you deploy teams, because it's hard to roll it back in after you let it gotten out the door. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to close these down, and I'm going to go back into our PowerPoint presentation. And I'm hoping at this point that we've achieved these three takeaways. It's first, how to get teams, right? Most of you probably already have it through your Office 365 subscriptions. If not, we can help you with that. How to use Teams. This is a very quick overview on how to use Teams, but I hope that we introduced you to a lot of useful features and how to use Teams to not just collaborate individually between people on your staff, but between groups of people within your organization, and how to enhance Teams, different things that you can do to leverage Teams to provide the tools that people need during the workday to get their jobs done. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. Kevin's been monitoring the questions as they've been coming in, and he is going to help us and facilitate us at this point.
Yep, Marshall. So thank you. I had a few questions come in here that were of the same nature. So I'm going to ask that you take a second here to demonstrate how we share, change our backgrounds when in a Teams call here.
Oh, okay. Well, considering I haven't done it, you're going to have to help me with that. Let's see. This is a brand new feature, right?
So yeah, can we start a call back up with Sally here, and then we'll walk through that on how to do that. So yeah, why don't we get a call started with Sally, and then Sally, could you share your screen out and walk through how you can quickly change your background effects here? This is a newer feature that Microsoft had just released within the past couple of weeks here. Yes, we can, Sally.
Yeah, go, Sal, you want to show us?
Sure. Let me share my screen. Let's share this one. Okay. Okay, so the way you do that is you, when you're in the video call, you click the triple dots, click on Show Background Effects, and then you can choose from a library. These are canned ones, and I've added my own here at the bottom. And the way you add your own is you take a picture as a JPEG and you store it in a folder under App Data under the user. And Teams will find it in that library and present it to you in this panel. And then when you click on it, you get the option to preview it. And now I'm going to turn it on. That's all there is to it.
Well, that looks easy enough for me to even figure out how to do it. So just to recap, that folder is in the user folder. So it's user, username, and then
Username, app data, Microsoft, Teams, backgrounds.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll get that posted somewhere, Kevin, so that people have it, because it's tricky to navigate through the user profiles.
Yeah, it's the new fun thing. There's a lot of steps to it, but pretty cool feature there.
Yeah,
next question that I
yeah, and this was brand new on Monday, folks. Microsoft just rolled it out.
Yep. So another question that I had here, Marshall, is can you turn notifications on for different teams and channels? So can we talk about the activity tab for just a second?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm in the activity tab.
Yep, so in the activity feed here, so we're in a demo environment right here, folks, but the activity tab on the left-hand side is where you would see any notifications for any relevant items that you're a part of. So that includes phone calls, any chat messages for teams that you're in, and you can think of it like your social feed too. So it's in a chronological order with the newest items at the top, and it would also display as unread until you acknowledge that notification.
Yeah, you would see right up here in the top corner a little red circle with how many new posts there were that you need to check out. So anything that happens down and below in these teams, you're going to get those notices right up in here.
Yep. Okay, so another question that we had here was, do you have the ability to @mention within teams or channels here? Can you navigate to a team and show the process of that, Marshall, for calling out an individual employee or member?
You're going to have to show me, Kevin. I've seen that in my my activities, but
Yeah, so if you go into just a general team there and go into a chat, yep, and just start a new conversation. And if you want to hit the @mention, see right there, it says type the symbol, and then just simply like that, you press the symbol, and then you can select the user that you'd like and write a note to them. And then just what we were talking about with the activity feed there, you would get a notification as a member that somebody just mentioned you, and it would call attention out to you for you to view, whatever that item was that you were mentioned in.
yeah, and I posted that, and you don't see it up here in my activity, but this will show up on Sally's activity. There'll be a blip there that's something will be there for her to look at.
Yep. The next question that we had was presence. So can you talk about presence there for just a second?
I'm not sure the context presence.
So yeah, so on the top right there under your name, if you hover over your icon, you'll see there, hover over that red bubble, click down, you'll see that you're in a call right there. So this also has integration within your Outlook calendar as well. So if you're in a meeting, you'll show as busy, or you can even denote in your Outlook calendar how you would like your presence to show. So for example, if you're in a meeting, you may want to set yourself to do not disturb so you don't receive any notifications during that time. So all presence is integrated within the Microsoft stack to map that presence for you.
Right. It assumes that during the 8-hour workday that you're there, but if you're in a meeting, if you show it on your calendar, it's going to show you as red. But that would change to green.
Yeah, go ahead and click. You have the ability to manually change your presence as well too. So if you click on your name right there, Marshall, a drop down should come, and then you'll see that in a call you have a caret. That'll show you all your available options. So you have the ability to manually set that as well. So you'll just see that Marshall had changed himself there to available. Even though he's in a call, he has the ability to override that presence. All right, let me just take a look here for some additional questions. I saw one that Microsoft recently put out a statement that we can have up to 9 views in a video chat. We still only have 4 at a time. That'll be released in just a couple days, so you can expect to see that shortly.
Yeah, on their technology roadmap, it was advertised before the end of the month of April, so that's a week away. So it'll be there soon.
Yep. Can you delete conversations? So you do have so it's not a delete function, but you do have the ability to hide. So Marshall, if you can just go back into chat on the left-hand side, and then maybe if we find an older chat there, can we just right click on one of the chats on the left-hand side under the chat window where Sally's name's at there? Just right click on any one of those. You'll see that you have the ability to hide that conversation so it won't show in there. And what you're seeing in this chat history too is, again, this is more chronological of order here. So your most recent conversations are at the top. So, maybe there's a former employee or you have no need to talk to that person, in the near future. So you can go in there and simply right click and just hide the conversation. But it does not delete. You do have the ability to go and unhide that at a later date if you'd like.
You do have the ability to call these things back. So if you go up here and click, you can actually delete it. So if you send a note out that you didn't, a message that, oops, I shouldn't have sent it to that person, you do have the ability to pull that back and delete it. Again, it's you hover over it, hit the ellipses, and then you're going to be able to delete it.
Yep.
Oh, these are Sally.
On your own messages, right?
On your own messages, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I can delete it.
Yep. So another question that I have here is, if you invite someone from an outside organization, do they have to have Teams to be able to join?
Uh,
The answer, the answer for that is no. You do not have to have the Teams. So if you have the client for Teams, it'll default launch by that client. But there is also a web browser version as well. So you'll be prompted to launch that Teams meeting when you navigate to a hyperlink for a Teams meeting, should you not have that currently.
Yeah, to bring external users in, you have to actually add the external users in first. It's not a flexible tool like a GoToMeeting or a Zoom where you send an invite out and anybody who gets the invite can click in. You have to identify them first as a trustworthy user or trustworthy contact, and then they can get access to Teams. So there is an upfront process to having external folks come in.
So let me take a look here. Yeah, you do. So Marcia, just to correct that just a bit, the external users do have the ability to jump in there if they do not have Microsoft Teams. I just want to avoid any confusion that you being a non-Teams user, you will be able to join a Teams meeting if that's how that is set up.
Correct.
It's a newer feature that's available within Teams. So just to, again, avoid confusion there. Just taking a look here. We encourage, so if you have any other questions, please submit them. I'm just taking a look here. I don't think I have anything new at the top of my list.
Still
Right,
got some
so it
questions.
looks like,
But yeah, we still got some questions coming in.
so I have a question here. How do you get the new features added to Teams?
Hit the plus sign. Pick the new feature. And each one of these features, particularly third-party features, are going to start a wizard up that allows you to register. I think there was a question, is there a cost for these third-party things? And yeah, there are for some of them, but you'd have to decide which one you want to use and then see what the third party is going to charge for using their applications. I've used various planning tools that have been available through here. They're good tools. Some of them are free. Some of them are you pay for them, but it's tool by tool.
Yep, and then for any features that are built into the tool, so being that this is a subscription service, these updates occur automatically. So if there were any new features that rolled out, all you'd have to do is close your application and relaunch it, and then you should have access to the latest features at that point. I have a question here. Are chats private? Yes, so you have the ability to see any chats that you're a part of. So if you're having a chat with just one individual, you and that other individual will have the ability to see that. If you are a user that is in a group chat or a team, you'll have the ability to see that chat history from the time that you were added to that team. So you won't be able to see anything from preceding that, but from the time that you're added, you have full visibility into that.
Yeah, I think that the really hard thing to do is to remember the context that you're in when you're posting stuff, because there have been very many times that I think I'm actually communicating with one individual and I'm actually in a group chat, so everybody gets it. Just last week, I wanted to call somebody and I started the call and I was in a group chat with 6 other people, so all their phones rang at the same time. That was a pretty good oops. So I would just be careful about the context to make sure that you're in the one-on-one chat that you think you're in before you start that chat.
Yep. And I got one last question here before we're going to jump on we have a couple product offerings that we'd like to highlight. But the last question I'd like to cover here is how do I add someone to an ongoing call? So if you had seen when Marshall and Sally were in a call earlier, at the bottom of the call there where there were call controls. One of the control items that you'll see at the bottom is an icon that has multiple people, and then there's a plus sign hovering over those people. So what you would do there is click that icon, and then you'll have the ability to enter in the name of the user that you would want to add. And as you begin to type, it should pare down your search there, and then you can simply click on their name and click join to call. And then that would ring and add them to that existing call that you're in there. So thank you to everyone who had submitted questions. If we unfortunately did not get a chance to get to yours, we will follow up. The sales team will be reaching out to ensure that your questions are addressed. We just have one last slide here that we'd like to cover.
Good. So to help jumpstart everybody's team's effort, we have put together some packages for our clients and for prospective clients to get everybody up to speed with Teams more quickly. So you can see these are kind of broken out by the number of users. That really equates the amount of time that we're going to spend with each user to kind of jumpstart the Teams process to make sure that the client understands Teams. So there's a training component, there's a consulting component, and there's a setup component for each one of these different levels. And those are things, if you're interested, sales@behringer.net, 800-796-4854, option number 1. Good, Kevin, do you have anything else for wrap up?
That's everything. I appreciate everyone taking time to join with us today.
Good, thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day.